Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Sadashiva Samadambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Padyantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmad Gurubhyo Namaha. Shruti Smriti Purananamalaya Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Mukti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Om Shri Medha Dakshina Murti Swamine Namaha Om Sahana Vavato Sahana Bhunakto Sahavidyam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Satchidananda Rupaya Krishnaya Klishtakarine Namo Vedanta Vedyaya Gurave Buddhi Sakshine Krishna Dvaipayanam Vyasam Sarvalokahite Ratam Vedabja Bhaskaram Vande Shamadhi Nilayam Munim Sahasramurte Purushottamasya Sahasranetrananapadhabaho Sahasranamnam Stavanam Prashastam Niruchyate Janma Jaradi Shantyai. Namaste once again, everybody. Those who have not marked your attendance, please record your name on the chat box. So we will now go to the lesson, the sloka. So we are seeing this sloka, Vasur Vasumana Satyah Samatma Sammitas Samaha Amogha Pundari Kaksho Vrishakarma Vrishakritihi. That's what we are seeing. And the last class we saw the first two namas, Vasuhu and Vasumana. Now we have to see the nama meaning of the name Satya. Satya, the plain meaning is truth. But Adi Shankara adds one more meaning here. He says, Satya refers to the one who is both formed and the formless. That entity who is both having a form and is also formless. Okay. So he says, Abhitata Rupatvat Paramatma Satya. Murta Amurtatmakatvat Va Satya. Saditi Pranaha Tityannam Yamiti Divakaraha Tena Prana Naditya Rupatvat Va Satya Satsu Sadutvat Va Satya. So different meanings he takes. Of course, all mean the same thing only, but from different contexts, from Upanishads and all that, he has taken the definition of the word Satya, the derivation of the word. Okay. Satya basically means that which cannot be negated. This is the truth. It cannot be negated at all. That which is the truth of everything, and that which cannot be negated by anything in all three periods of time, past, present, and future, that alone is Satya. In fact, in Tattva Bodha, students will remember Satya was defined as Trikale Yat Tishtati Tat Satya. Trikale means all three periods of time, that which exists, that which cannot be negated, that is Satya. And if you want to understand it with some illustration, what is the truth of water? It appears Satya, true in its own period of time. But We cannot say whether water is real or unreal, because it is sat asatbhyam anirvachaniyam. Because it exists now, at later stage it may not exist in the form of water. Okay. Then what is that thing called reality? When we look at the constituents, we find that the consciousness that sustains the atoms, the molecule, etc., that consciousness alone is real. So, Sat Eva Satyam, says the Shastra. That which is the basis of everything, the truth of everything, and that which cannot be negated in any a period of time, that is Satya. If we take another example, if you take an ornament, a lump of gold is made into a chain or bangles or necklace or whatever it is, including a coin, gold coin, could be a gold rod, so on. So many things can be made. Even though there are many ornaments and many things made out of gold, what is there in all of them is gold only. In this context, gold is Satya. That is the foundation for all other things. And all other things are real or unreal from a point of view of transaction, Vyavaharika Drishtya, they appear real. But will they exist in all three periods of time? Do they exist in all three periods of time? They cannot on their own exist in all three periods of time. If they have to exist, they have to depend on gold for existence. So then gold becomes the Satya and all other becomes Anirvachaniya. They look like real, but they are not real. They look like Satya, but they are Mithya. Okay. So with reference to a chain, an ornament we take, the gold buddhi will never go away. The chain may be converted into a bangle. Still gold buddhi will remain. Because even when we go to a shop and we buy some golden ornament, what does the shopkeeper sell you? He sells you based upon the weight of gold. Of course, he will take some making charges for that ornament. But basically, the price of that ornament is determined based upon the gold which is there. Similarly, if you want to go and sell some ornament in the shopkeeper, he doesn't see the ornament at all. He only sees the gold in that. So from a gold point of view, a shopkeeper is a jnani, is a gold jnani. Because he sees only gold in all the things that he deals with. And a spiritual jnani is the one who sees consciousness only in everything. That is all the way we have to understand Satya. Nothing more is there to understand in Satya. Okay. So the gold cognition for the goldsmith never goes away. Even when he is looking at an ornament, even when he is putting that ornament in his balance to weigh it, he is always in his mind, what he is doing is gold only, nothing to do with ornament. Shape may be anything. It could be a bangle shape, a necklace shape, any shape, it could be a chain, whatever it is. But he only has got gold buddhi. But if we go one step further, what is the reality of the gold itself? The reality of the gold itself is consciousness. So whenever we say gold is, that isness is what? It is Satya. It is Sat. We say space is, fire is, water is, earth is. Wherever we are putting this word is, to denote that something is existing, that existence is Satya. The isness will never go away. Water can turn into steam. Still we will say steam is. So water can turn into ice. Still we will say ice is. That isnness does not go away from that matter or material, whatever it is. So that isness is what we say consciousness or existence, Sat. There is no difference between Sat and Chit. They are two aspects of the same thing. Satteva Chit, Chitteva Sat. That is what says Shastra. Okay. And this does not go away in all three periods of time. They may change the form, they may change the shape, they may change the name, but isness never goes away. Even time changes. So time can be further subdivided. We saw in one of the talks, about time. Puja Swamiji's detailed Vyakhyanam about time. So time which changes, we can say Vyabhicharati, it changes. But consciousness never goes away. So consciousness is what we call Satyam. Sat eva Satyam. Existence alone is Satya. That which is existence and consciousness is Satya. And here the word Satya refers to Ishvara, because that is what we are seeing. So Ishvara is Satya. That is how we have to understand this Nama. Then Adi Shankara said Murta, Amurta. He used two words. Murta means the one which is manifest in forms, with forms as fire, water, earth. They are all called Murta in the Shastra. They have got forms. We can perceive them. And the other elements, space and air, they are Amurta. They don't have any form. And everything in this world, in this cosmos, is made of these five elements only. Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apa and Prithvi. These are the five elements, Panchabhutas, out of which everything is made. So everything can be divided into two, Murta and Amurta. The one which has got form, which does not have form. But both of them are Ishvara only, because we have seen Ishvara is Karanatvat. Everything is Karana is Ishvara. So the Karana pervades the Karyam. That way everything is Ishvara only. So the Lord, who is in the form of Sat and Tyat. Sat means form, formed. Tyat means formless. So Sat plus Tyat, when you add together, it becomes Satya. And Adi Shankara quotes from Maitreya Upanishad also, this quotation which I read out, Saditi pranaha tityannam yamiti divakaraha tena prananan aditya rupadvadva satya. So the word Satya itself is derived in a different way in Maitreya Upanishad. Sa in Satya stands for prana, the prana. It, the T, stands for annam, food. And yam stands for sun, aditya, divakara. So, he who is in the form of the breath, prana, food, annam, and the sun, aditya, is Satya. This is the derivation based on Maitreya Upanishad for the word Satya. Then, of course, Adi Shankara concludes, he says he is known as Satya because Satsu Sadhutvat. He is compassionate towards everything, all his bhaktas. who live a life of dharma. Because of that also, sadhutva, being compassionate, he is called Satya. That is the meaning of the word Satya. Then the next one is Samatma. Samatma can be understood in two ways. Samatma means Sama-atma, the self, which is the same in all. Samatma. Or whose mind is unchanging. It is always Samam. That is also Samatma. So two meanings. That the self which is the same in all. Atma means self basically, right? The self which is same in all, or one with an unchanging mind is Samatma. That's what he says. Sarva bhuteshu samaha. Eka atma eva. Eka atma va. Samaha atma mano yasya raga dveshadibhi adushitaha saha samatma. So the Lord, as the Atma, does not undergo any change. We have seen Satya does not undergo any change. It is always sama, always same in all three periods of time. And every change that we talk about is nothing but a superimposition, a seeming attribute to the Atma. While the Atma itself does not undergo any change, it is nirvikara. Therefore, the Lord is Samatma. The adhishtanam doesn't change. The foundation doesn't change. Ishvara doesn't change. All other things, whether we call it Shiva, Vishnu, Parvati, all are superimpositions on that basic form, basic Ishvara. Everything else is a superimposition. They can change, but Ishvara, Brahman plus Maya will never change. So, Sarva Bhuteshu Samaha Ekaha Atma, he says. Since Atma is one and the same in all beings, actually speaking, there is no difference between all the beings at all. What difference we perceive is only based on attributes, the shape, the form, etc. Fundamentally, there is no change in any of the being. Everything is same Atma only that. Okay. So as Pratyagatma, as the indweller, that Ishvara is one in all beings. Hence he is Samatma. And the word Atma also is taken for meaning mind. In the Shastras, the word Atma is used in different meanings depending upon the context. And one meaning is the mind also is called Atma. So the Lord is Atma. Which Atma, which mind? The mind which is pure, which is not affected by Raga, Dvesha, etc. Those impurities. Likes, dislike, Raga, Dvesha, Krodha, Moha, all those impurities which we have been talking about. Because Lord does not have any of these impurities. If at all we say Ishvara, when we say Brahman, there is no question of any mind at all. But when we say Ishvara, we can at least say, okay, there is a mind we can superimpose on Ishvara, because Maya is there. But even that mind is a pure mind. It is bereft of all Raga, Dvesha, the Kalusham, these impurities, and that is why he is known as Samatma, the one which a pure mind. That mind which doesn't get shaken, or it is not unlike our mind, which is like a pendulum, goes here and there. The Lord's mind is not a pendulum. It is a broken clock. The pendulum is always the same. It doesn't oscillate. Okay, that's how we have to understand Samatma. Then Asammitah. This word Asammitah is actually, there is a sandhi there in that sloka. So some people take it as Asammitah and some people take it as Sammitah. If we take Asammitah, it means immeasurable or indeterminable. Sammitah means determinable. So both the meanings we can take that. Okay. Sarvaihi aparichinnah amita iti asammitah. Sarvaihi api artajataihi parichinnah mitah sammitah. Adi Shankara takes both the meanings. He explains that either way you take, everything is Ishvara. You call it Asammitah, you call it Sammitah, we are referring to Bhagavan only, Ishvara only. So he gives both the meanings with their respective pramanam for it. I mean, what basis the derivation of those words. So as I said, the Sandhi can be split. After Samatma, Sammitah, the Sandhi can be split into Asammitah or just Sammitah. Both ways it can be. The Sanskrit allows that. It lends itself to such splitting rather. Even though Pujya Swamiji says Asammitah is more in vogue. Normally, these days, whenever we do Parayanam and all that Parayanam, or even Sahasranamam Archana, Asammitah is what is normally, chanted. But as I said, Adi Shankara explains it's from both the angles. Mita means that which can be measured, which is limited. Mita. Those that have a form can be measured in terms of shape, length, height, weight, etc. Right? If we have a form, we can do all these things. We know what is the height, what is the weight, and all that can be measured. And also, things can be measured with reference to time and place also. So what is measured, what is mita, or measured or measurable, is parichinna. It is limited always. The Lord being pervasive with no form cannot be measured in any way. So he is asammitah, one who cannot be measured, whose limit cannot be shown in terms of height, weight, etc., or even time and space, or in any other way. So the Lord is one who is asammitah, who cannot be measured. This is one meaning of the word. That's one meaning of this nama. So we ask a question, and this is the beauty of our culture. The Lord is in time and space. But where is the Lord? Where is his house? And our answer is the Lord does not have any time and place. There is no location for him. Unlike other religions which give a location to the Lord, he is sitting in so and so place, and then he is a judge. He will judge people's actions and all that. We don't believe in that at all. At the Purana level, for Bala, what we say, who are just initiated into religion and spirituality, for them we may explain it like that, Vaikuntha and Kailasa and all that. But when we even come to the level of Bhagavad Gita, all this location vanishes. Lord is everywhere. So what location can you give? But all time, space, every object is Parameshwara only. But he is not any of them. He is in all of them. All of them are in him, but he is not any of them. Further, he cannot be compared to anything, measured against anything also, because he is Eka. There is nothing to compare Bhagavan with. All our means of knowledge can objectify what is limited. We can objectify that. But how can we objectify the Lord who is, all pervasive, limitless, and we have already seen he is not an object of knowledge at all. So by any known means of knowledge, we cannot objectify the Lord, aprameya. Hence he is asammitah, not measurable, is the meaning. The other reading is sammitah, sarvaihi arthajataihi mitah. The entire artha jata, the entire world of objects which has been created by Ishvara reveals the existence of Ishvara all the time. And all these objects are measurable. So in one way we can say, since Ishvara pervades all these objects, and all these objects are measurable, Ishvara is also measurable, sammitah. That interpretation we can take. But we have to understand clearly, when we are measuring the object, we are only measuring the limitedness. Because of the limitedness of the object, we are able to measure. But since Ishvara is one and is pervading in all the objects, he cannot be actually measured. So if at all we want to use the word sammitah, we will have to explain it or understand that since Ishvara pervades all the objects, and since all the objects are measurable, sammitah, so Ishvara is also sammitah. This is the meaning we can take. But as I said, this is not a very popular meaning which is taken for this nama. It is asammitah is the meaning which is taken. But Adi Shankara knows that from a Sanskrit point of view, scholars who will be actually studying his bhashyam, if he does not cover all the areas, they will immediately jump and say that how can you say asammitah? It can be split as sammitah. Adi Shankara foresees all these things, what objections people will take. So he addresses both the things. If you want to take sammitah, you take like this. If you want to take asammitah, you take it like this. I have covered both the areas. That is the beauty of Adi Shankara. Okay. Never leave anything to chance. He will never allow anybody to challenge him. He will be complete in his own vyakhyana. Okay. So the next is samaha. Samaha, again, what we just now saw, samatma and all. Samaha means the same. And another meaning is the one ever associated with ma. Sa, ma. Samaha, associated. Ma saha. Right? Sarva kaleshu sarva vikara rahitatvat samaha. Here ma stands for maya. So maya, lakshmya saha vartate iti va samaha. So Adi Shankara gives ma stands for maya, and maya here it takes the meaning as Lakshmi. The one who is always with Lakshmi is samaha. That meaning also he takes. Two beautiful meanings he gives. Sarva kaleshu samaha. We have already seen that all three periods of time he is the same rather. Sarva vikara rahitatvat. Why he is same in all periods of time? Because he is free from all changes. We cannot say that about any object in the world, because every object in the world, in the universe, changes with time. Even if you take the human body, see your childhood photo and see yourself in the mirror now. And we are not talking about we are talking only about 60, 70 years. What changes has happened? Even when we meet our school friends, or even with whom we have worked about 30, 40 years ago, we come across them, we won't be able to recognize them unless we introduce ourselves that we are so and so and so. You remember we worked together. It happened with me recently, rather. A person with whom I have worked about 45 years ago, suddenly one day he called me and he said, I'm so and so and so, and I could recall the name. I said, Arey, how are you and all that? And he said, I'm in Delhi. So I said, very good. Then, of course, he gave his story and all that. He asked me about me, my family and all that. He got hold of my telephone number from somewhere, some common friend somewhere. But he was keen to establish contact with me. So I told him that, why don't you send me a photograph of yours in WhatsApp? He says, I will send it, but you won't be able to recognize me. I said, don't worry, that's the same case with me also. So what I'm saying is, we are all subject to change over a period of time, but this change is not there in Bhagavan, in Paramatma at all, in Ishvara. He is not subject to change. So because he is not subject to change, he is same in all periods of time. So that is the meaning of samaha, the same, That's why he says, Sarva Vikara Rahitatvat. Vikara means change, modification. Because Prakriti, which is Maya, is the one which brings about all the changes. And Ishvara is not limited by Prakriti. Prakriti is in Ishvara. But Ishvara is not limited by Prakriti. That's why he is not subject to change. Even in Bhagavad Gita, we see Brahman is Nirdosha and Sama from any change or defect, and is ever the same. 5th chapter. Then he says, Maya saha vartate iti samaha. Being associated with Ma, Lakshmi, always, he is known as Sama. This is another interpretation of the word Samaha. Then the next nama, Amogaha. Amogaha, the one whose worship is never in vain. Whom you worship will never go waste. Adi Shankara says, Pujitaha, Stutaha, Samsmritaha va, Sarva phalam dadati, na vrita karoti iti amogaha. Avitata sangalpad va. Mogha means vain, useless. Amogha means not in vain or not useless, but useful. Pujitaha, stutaha, samsmritaha va. The Lord is worshipped, praised, or even samsmritaha, remembered. We have seen this right from the beginning. Just memory of the Lord is enough. Sarva phalam dadati. He gives all the results desired by us. He never lets our prayers go mogha, vain. That is why he is amogha.
Oh, Acharya.
Some noise came, so I muted everybody. Because every sankalpa we do is Ishvara. Ishvara is Satya Sankalpa. And that Sankalpa, he turns it into reality. Whatever we are doing, puja and all with certain Sankalpa, certain desire, whatever may be our desire. Because this entire Jagat itself is Sankalpa of Ishvara only. Right? We may make many Sankalpas, but when they do not work, we say it did not work, it was a failure. But for Ishvara, there is no Sankalpa which becomes a failure. Whatever Sankalpa Ishvara does, that becomes Abhitatha, a reality. And any kind of karma done to invoke the grace of Ishvara it will definitely produce karma phala. Depending upon how that karma is done, with what attitude that karma is done, that will produce a karma phala. And if you remember Ishvara, recognize his glories, for that recognition there is a drishta phala and also an adrishta phala. Puji Swamiji explained that when you see a flower, we get a flower thought in our mind. At the same time, there is another thought that recognizes that flower as nothing but the glory of Ishvara. Isn't it? Have we not experienced this many times? We will see a flower, or maybe we go to a garden, we see many flowers rather. We admire the beauty of those flowers. And if we are actually inclined that way, the immediate thought will be how God is great in making so many beautiful types of flowers. So anything that we appreciate as a glory of Ishvara, immediately Ishvara comes in our mind. Okay. And this is what we say Ishvara Smarana. The moment you remember Ishvara, you are immediately connected with Ishvara. And that is the Drishta Phala, the happiness, the joy that we get. And whenever we are appreciative of Ishvara, that thought of Ishvara connects us to him and not to samsara, because at that time we forget everything else. And for a devotee, this connection is a permanent connection, because the devotee is the basic person. Everything else on us is a superimposition. A devotee is the basic person rather. It is the devotee who plays different roles. So the connection which is established is a connection between the Lord and the devotee. He may play different roles as father, son, brother, whatever it is, businessman, CEO, any role he may play, but the basic, at the substratum level, he is still a devotee only. And if he is a devotee, then whatever role he plays, he will have no problems at all in playing all those roles. It is just like, in a forest, an individual tree is a part of the forest. It is connected to the forest and it is interrelated with all other trees in the forest. So basically, if you are a devotee who is connected to Ishvara, your father, mother, everybody is also connected to Ishvara through you, in the same way as you are connected. So if the awareness of this basic person as a devotee is retained, then the role playing becomes very easy for all of us. And this is what Puja Swamiji always emphasizes. Whenever we talk of, Vairagyam, Vivekam, Vairagyam, all those things, the more and more Vairagya you can develop if you create a space between you and all other objects, relations, persons in the world. Retain your identity as a devotee. And whenever you are, doing a role play of a father, mother and all, create that space between you and that role. Once you create that space, whatever happens, whatever experience that father, mother and all those roles undergo, you will remain unaffected. So creation of that space is very, very important. And Pujya Swamiji, normally quotes the example of an actor rather, a very famous actor, let it be Amitabh Bachchan, Shivaji Ganeshan, whoever it is. They may be shooting 3 films, 4 films in a day. In one studio, they may be doing the role of a beggar. In another studio, they may be doing the role of a policeman. In another studio, they may do the role of a thief. So many roles they play, but the actor remains himself. Whatever role he plays, he makes sure that he creates a space between himself and the role that he plays. And we have to learn from that. The moment we are able to create that space between us and all the roles that we play, then we will remain unaffected by all that happens with those roles. And who is that me? I am the basic devotee here. Okay. It is not a physical space. It is a space created out of awareness. It is the cognitive space. So, even when an actor is playing, say, in a stage, that role, he is crying profusely. At the back of his mind, he has created a space. It is the actor, the role which is crying. I am not crying. He understands that very well, rather. So, the basic person is a devotee, and until that awareness of the basic person is there, one will think of Ishvara every now and then. Whether you see a flower or you see a beautiful sunrise or a sunset, you will, whatever glory you see in the nature, you will immediately think of Ishvara only. If you are doing that, then you have recognized yourself as a basic devotee. You see Ishvara in everything. And that is the Drishta Phala. The very thought of Ishvara connects you with that Ishvara. And if that connection goes because of your non-recognition, then you are alienated from the total. You will never be able to appreciate anything in your life. Forget about the beauty of nature. And when that happens, you become an isolated individual. Nobody will even come near you. So, for every thought of Ishvara, there is a Drishta Phala, a feeling of connectivity and security. As I said last, the only security we can get is from Ishvara only, rather, permanent security. And there is also an Adrishta Phala. As Adi Shankara says, na vrita karoti, na mogam karoti. There is also the Adrishta Phala. He never makes our prayer or remembering him go waste. And that is why Chandogya Upanishad speaks of him as Satya Kama, Satya Sankalpa. And this is what Adi Shankara means when he says, Avitata Sankalpa Dva. Vitata means false, untrue, vain, useless. Avitata means true, Satya. So this is the meaning of this Nama. Amogha. Okay. The next one is, excuse me. Pundarikakshaha. This word we have seen in the Dhyana Slokas also. Pundarikakshaha means the one who pervades the lotus of the heart. Or you can also take the one who has got lotus-like eyes. Hridayakyam pundarikam ashnute vyapnoti tatra upalakshita iti pundarikaksha. Then Pundarikakare ubhe akshini asyeti va. Both the meanings Adi Shankara takes. Pundarika is the lotus of the heart. Pundarikam ashnute vyapnoti. He pervades, fills up the lotus of your heart. Heart here means buddhi. Because heart, we must not refer to the physical heart. It refers to the buddhi, intellect. We have seen this earlier also, this meaning. So, the Lord is available for recognition in one's own heart, one's own buddhi. There he exists as Atma, the I. That I buddhi is there in that thought. And that I is giving satta and spurti, existence and consciousness to the ahankara, the ego I, and also every thought that is there. Thus, the Hridaya Pundarika, the buddhi, is pervaded by Parameshwara as everything, as is everything else. Pervades everything, he pervades the buddhi, intellect also. So, it is only in the intellect he is recognized as existence and consciousness. And that is why he is known as Pundarikaksha. The other meaning is, because his eyes, Akshini, are like Pundarika, like the leaf of a lotus flower, he is called Pundarika Akshara. And this form, Puja Swamiji says, is given for Upasana. Any description of any of the body parts of the Bhagavan is always given for the purpose of Upasana, meditation. So when we sit on meditation, we can meditate on anything, anyone. We can just meditate on the lotus shaped eyes of the Lord. Just to bring that, visualize that and meditate on the Lord with that. So all these are for Upasana purposes given, these names. Okay. The next 112th Nama is Vrishakarma. The one whose action is of the nature of Dharma. Dharma Lakshanam Karma Asyeti Vrishakarma. We have seen the meaning of Vrisha as Dharma in one of the earlier Namas. Therefore, Vrishakarma is one whose karma or Punya Karma or Dharma is Punya Karma or Dharma Karma. He is recognized through the result of all Punya Karmas. And as a result of Punya Karma, what does it give? Sukha it gives, Ananda it gives. There is Purnatvam. Because all that happiness that happens, good things happen in our life is because of Punya Karma only. That is why, and how do we get the Punya Karma? More and more dharmic activities we do. More and more dharmic karmas we do, Punya keeps on adding. So, when that happens, when we have happiness, that Ananda which we experience is nothing but an expression of Purnatvam. That is how we experience happiness in our life. We think that happiness is in some objects and all that. But actually happiness is within ourselves. And that we experience when there is Purnatvam, there is fullness in our heart. How do we get that fullness? Suppose we have a desire for something and we achieve that desire, immediately that desire gets fulfilled and our heart with respect to that particular desire becomes Purnaha. So we experience a happiness, even though it is momentary, because that desire gets replaced by another desire. The moment another desire comes into our mind, we again feel apurna. And when that apurnatvam gets fulfilled by that second desire getting fulfilled, again we feel purna and we feel happy. So ananda is nothing but manifestation of purnatvam. And as more and more dharmic activities we do, what we will get more and more punya. And more punya will give us more and more pleasant experiences, happy experiences in our life. This is the adrishta phalam for punya. Okay. So, the wise people, the jnanis understand this and they recognize that purnatvam in their atma itself. And all these avatars are all to give us an example rather. All his karmas in the avatars, all dharma lakshana, based on dharma. So that is why he is also called Vrishakarma. Okay. Then the next one is Vrishakritihi. The earlier was, we said, one whose action is of the nature of dharma. Here it goes one step further and says Vrishakritihi means the one who takes a form for dharma, or whose form itself is dharma. Dharmartham akritihi shariram yasya saha vrishakritihi, says Adi Shankara. He is akriti, having a form. For what purpose? For vrisha, for the sake of dharma. Hence he is known as Vrishakritihi. In the Gita, the Lord says, Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. For the sake of protection of dharma, I will, manifest in every yuga, in every period of time. The sharira that he takes is in keeping with the way in which the dharma has to be protected in a particular context. In the context of Rama Avatara, a certain dharma had to be protected, so he took Avatara as Rama. In Krishna Avatara, a certain different type of dharma was to be protected, so he took Avatara as Krishna. But all avatars are only for the protection of dharma. So he is Vrishakritihi because Vrisha, that is dharma itself, is his akriti, is his form. He alone is in the form of karma and also karma phala. Karma phala is what we know, punya papa, we know. And also he is the connection between the karma and the phala. He alone is in the form of the sadhana and sadhya. And punya and papa, they translate themselves in all situations rather. If the result of good karma is there, it is ananda. In that ananda, Parameshwara is there. Therefore, you can experience Parameshwara at all levels. By chanting these 1,000 names of Ishvara, the Lord, you can make sure that you are always connected with Parameshwara. You don't go away from Parameshwara at any time. So that you can never be alienated from him. And that is the permanent relationship. There is no other relationship in this entire world which is permanent. The only permanent relationship in our past births, in the present birth, and also future births, if we have, the only relationship, permanent relationship, is with Ishvara alone. So what we must all do, we must nourish that permanent relationship instead of trying to nourish all our temporary relationship. That is what we always keep on doing. Temporary relationship may give us momentary happiness, but that happiness is important, so we can, nourish the temporary relationships up to a point. We must always keep it at the back of our mind is what is permanent. My relationship, my connection with Ishvara is permanent. So I should continue even through all the other relationships. That one relationship which is permanent is my relationship with Ishvara. That I must never ever forget, never ever relegate to the background. This is what we must do. And if we do that, then you yourself over a period of time can experience what joy this gives you. And what do you mean by nurturing the relationships? Remembering Ishvara in everything. In fact, when we get older, and this is, of course, if somebody is having it, don't misunderstand me. That is, I'm just sharing an experience. Not even older, even otherwise. Suppose we are walking, and there is the corner of a cot, wooden cot, and our knee or our leg gets hit against it. What will be our immediate involuntary reaction? Most people will say, Ayyo. I mean, I'm talking about South Indians. Isn't it? We will say, Ayyo. How many people will say, Hey Krishna, Hey Rama, Bhagavane, it is paining. How many people will say? If you are able to say that, when you are in pain, if you can remember the Lord, your connectivity is solid with the Lord. But if you are going to Ayyo, Amma, and all that, all other expletives you use, all other words you use, not taking Bhagavan's name, then you have to work on improving the connectivity with Bhagavan. Maybe install a better, what they call, improving the connectivity, more powered, what is that called to say? Use it for internet.
Router.
Huh?
Router.
Not browser. This.
The network.
Wi-Fi connection.
4G Wi-Fi router.
Router. Yeah, internet router. Yeah. No, more powerful router to improve your connectivity with Bhagavan. That is what you have to do. Okay. So we will read the next sloka and then we will continue the meanings in the next class. Rudro bahushira bhabruhu vishwayo nishuchishravah amrita shasvata stanuhu vararoho mahatapah. So this sloka again has got 9 namas, which we will see the details in the next class. Okay, I'll say the prayers. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you all very much.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
Namaskaram, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om.
Harihi Om. Namaste.
Hari Om Mahodaya. Dhanyavadaha.
Dhanyavadaha. Thank you very much.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram. Any questions are there?
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste. Congratulations, Lataji, in person.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hope the function went off well.
It went well. It was a simple family summit. Went well. Thank you very much.
It's very happy to hear that. Good.
Guruji, could you just say once again the literal meaning of Pundarikaksha?
Literal meaning is Pundarika Aksham. Aksham means eyes.
Yeah, that Pundarikaksha, then something about the heart and the lotus is also.
Yes, the heart, is called the Pundarikam. Because of this shape, the heart is supposed to be of the shape of a lotus. So, because of that, the heart is also called Pundarikam in the Shastras. So, the one who is residing, who is available for recognition in the Pundarikam is Pundarikaksha, who is nothing but Parameshwara, Ishwara. And he is available for recognition as both Chitta and Sat. Sat is existence, Chit is consciousness. So he is available for recognition both as Sat and Chit in the Pundarika. So he is called Pundarikaksha. That is one meaning. Another is the one who has got lotus-like eyes is Pundarikaksha. Another meaning. Both the meanings are there.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank
you. Guruji,
yes.
This Dvaitam and Advaitam, I'm not able to clarify in my mind, because when you explain that Amogham, then we say that we pray or whatever we do, then there is a phala for that. So that means then I differentiate myself from Ishvara.
Yes.
So then it becomes Dvaitam.
Yes.
So how do I move forward from Dvaitam to Advaitam?
You continue in Dvaitam, you will automatically move forward. See, when you say that I am praying to Ishvara, and it is Dvaitam, because you cannot reach Advaitam without going through Dvaitam. You cannot reach PhD before you do your schooling and college and your masters. So to reach Advaitam, you don't need to worry. You cannot bring Advaitam straight away into yourself. Advaitam is to be understood, it has to evolve and reveal itself. So you start with Dvaitam. In fact, that is what, the Dvaitins are totally different. They consider Ishvara to be different than ourselves. Start with that. With that, you first understand Ishvara and Ishvara's glories. Once you understand Ishvara and Ishvara's glories, and what we mean by Ishvara, Ishvara again is not an entity here for us. Ishvara, we have to understand as the totality of all the powers that is manifesting in the universe is Ishvara. Every power is represented by a Devata. Right? And all those powers are manifesting, which are manifesting is what put together is what we call Ishvara. In fact, in Vishnu Sahasranamam itself, later on, we will see all those things, meanings. Ishvara is what? He is the Suradhyaksha. He is the Adhyaksha of all the Devatas. So, all Devatas are Ishvara, and he is the one who is actually giving the powers to the Devatas. So, from that point of view, once we understand all the Devatas are Ishvara, all the powers are Ishvara, then you go to the next level of intellectual development. You question what is these powers made up of. You do the analysis. Then you understand that all that we are talking about, this entire Jagat, is nothing but Panchabhutas. Isn't it? That stage it's all Panchabhutas. This whole Jagat is Panchabhutas. Then after you understand that, you go to the next stage of understanding. You see yourself and you recognize that all the Panchabhutas are there in you only. Right? So at the first stage, that Panchabhutas are there, you understand. So now you have actually cut out one layer, because whenever we are talking in Vedanta, I think I should go one step backward. We talk of a relationship, interrelationship between three entities. That is Jiva, the self, Ishvara, God, and Jagat. So Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara interrelationship is what we are trying to understand through all these spiritual studies. So in the first stage, what we do, we first try to remove the difference between Jiva and Jagat. Because now starting, we are seeing all these three as different. Isn't it? Jiva is different. I am different from this world. I am different from Ishvara. Ishvara is different from the world. That is the starting point. So the next stage, what we do, we remove the difference between Jiva and Jagat. By understanding what is this Jagat is made of, analyzing it, and coming to the conclusion, this the entire Jagat is made of these Panchabhutas. And this Panchabhuta, I am also made of those Panchabhutas only. All Panchabhutas are in me. I am also a product of the Panchabhutas. The whole Jagat is a product of Panchabhuta. So that distance between, the differentiation between me and this Jagat, I first cognitively remove. And this is not physically removed, it is cognitively removing, understanding only, right? Once you have done that, that I am not different from the Jagat, then you see yourself in everything. Every object you see yourself. First is at the first level rather. Then you go further questioning how this entire Jagat is functioning. What is this Jagat? When we are talking about Panchabhuta, from where these Panchabhutas have come? Who has created these Panchabhutas? Then you understand, when you inquire, that there must be a creator. Without a creator, there can be no creation. And then you take the pramanam of Shastras, then there is only one creator. Because there can be an argument, why can't there be many creators? Why you are talking about only one creator? Shastras say that there is only one creator. We accept that, Shastras, because if there are many creators, the question will be, who is the creator of those creators? Ultimately, we will end up in a infinite regression. So we stop there. We say, okay, we accept as one creator because Shastram is the pramanam for this. Vedas are pramanam. Once we understand that creator is there, then we apply a logic. The creator, who is what we call the karta or the karana, right? Who is the cause for this entire jagat, which is karyam. The karanam pervades the karyam. Okay, so like for example, gold is the karanam for ornaments. So the gold pervades the ornaments. So karanam pervades the karyam. And here the karanam is Brahman, Satchitananda, consciousness, existence, and limitlessness. Those aspects are pervading this entire jagat. When they pervade, what happens? All of them have got those aspects of Sat Chit and Ananda. Existence, consciousness, and limitlessness. When we take Jagat as a totality. But in the earlier analysis, we have already removed that I am the same as the Jagat. We bring that equation back here. And say if Jagat is pervaded by Ishvara, by Bhagavan, by Brahman, I am also part of the Jagat, no different from Jagat. I am also pervaded by that Ishvara. I am also pervaded that Brahman. So that you come to that stage, Aham Brahmasmi, that Advaitam gets established at that stage. So it is a journey. Straight away, you cannot, by attending few classes or listening or studying, you will not. Advaitam is a sadhana. You have to progress towards it. And some will go faster, some will go slower. But that is the journey one has to undertake, and and you have to do a lot of Shravanam for that. Because for Advaitam, Shravanam, Mananam, and Nidhyasanam are the three basic sadhanas. Shravanam is the 80% of that. 80% of your sadhana is Shravanam only. Then you can probably say 10 to 15% contribution is Mananam, even 10%. Then the balance 10% is Nididhyasana. So majority you have to do Shravanam, because you have to get convinced about all these things. Because there are certain things said in the Shastras which may appear illogical to us. But as long as we accept that they are not illogical, that is what the Shastra says is, cannot be refuted by logic. That is it does not go against the logic. We can accept what the Shastra says. So that is where the Pramana Buddhi has to come. So we have to depend upon Shastra for a lot of these things. Where, for example, say Punya Karma, Papa Karma, from where we know about Punya Papa and all that. We can't see Punya Papa. We have to know from Shastras only, isn't it? Karma Phala and all that we know from Shastras only. So like that, we have to see in Shastras what are the important things that we have to take. We have to rely on Shastras for that. And what Acharya say is, the Shastras contain two types of sentences. One sentence are the Mahavakyas, which establish the identity, the oneness between the self and Ishvara. Jiva Ishvara Aikyam, Mahavakyas establish. Other Vakyas are called Avantara Vakyas. They are only supportive Vakyas and all. They are not to be paid attention to by Advaitins. Advaitins have to focus and understand all the Mahavakyas. Wherever there is Shastra talks about oneness of Jiva and Ishvara, we must analyze those Vakyams and understand that. And in fact, when we go to later stages, when we go to Brahma Sutra and Bhashyam, Adi Shankara's Bhashyam and all these aspects will become very, very clear, because there he analyzes everything. All Mahavakyas are analyzed. Why it should be like that? Why it cannot be? There are people who will, give, contradictory arguments. And he meets all the contradictions and explains as to how this is the right interpretation for the Shastra. So it's a long journey. I mean, we cannot straight away jump from Dvaitam to Advaitam. You are talking about Dvaitam. There are many people who don't even know anything about Dvaitam. They only about know that I am there only, that's all. Even Ishvara is there, they don't recognize. At least we are in the stage, we are got into this Dvaitam. So that is why even in Vishnu Sahasranama, as I told in the introductory classes, any Sahasranama will contain three things. One is there will be some namas which will be purely Dvaitam related namas. There will be some namas which will be revealing the Advaitam. And there will be namas which will be revealing the glories of Ishvara. So every Sahasranama, we will find all these three elements in the Sahasranama. So through the Sahasranama, we understand what is Dvaitam. We understand what is Advaitam. We understand what are the glories of Ishvara, to understand Ishvara better. Because our aim here is, we are trying to understand what is Ishvara. We are not trying to get into Advaitam straight away. So in that process, there will be Dvaitam names. There will be this, this bhakti has to be there. Rather, without bhakti, without this prayer, without all this puja, upasana that we do, we can never progress in spiritual path. And that is what has been told to us by our, acharyas, elders and all. So we have to continue in this, and but at the same time, not do it mechanically. Apply our mind. What are we doing? We understand what we do. And that is why the classes like this will help. Because once Vedanta is all about thinking and analyzing. Everything is analysis. You go deep, 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 deep and down. Once you start analyzing, your intellect will all automatically lead you to the ultimate. That is what happens.
Thank you very much, sir.
I hope I have clarified what your doubt was.
No, you have absolutely clarified, but for me, that will take, as you said, it will take time to sink.
It will take time. It won't come,
Yeah.
just by Aham Brahmasmi, nobody is going to understand Aham Brahmasmi.
Exactly.
It's not going to happen.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste, Premaji. How are you?
I'm good, Guruji. Thank you. I was wondering, the journey that you speak of, is that the dissolution of the koshas?
Well, dissolution of the kosha is, all this kosha and all, real seekers should ignore this kosha business. They don't get physically dissolved or anything like that, right? The koshas are all there to understand that there is something beyond these koshas, which don't take the koshas as yourself. That's what Veda says. So just ignore the koshas. Koshas are there. They are a existential real, in the sense that vyavaharika satyam, for our purposes of transactions with the world, we require the koshas. That is their role. That's all. Don't give too much importance to the koshas. So there is nothing called dissolving the koshas or anything like that. So ultimately, what we have to understand, of course, this I'm just telling you, we say that we are going to attain moksha. Vedanta says there is nothing called moksha. What are you attaining? You are already moksha.
That's right.
All that attainment of moksha is about understanding that I am already a mukta purusha. That is all, is the end story rather. It comes as a total anti-climax after all the sadhanas, everything that we do. Ultimately, Vedanta says that you were never bound. You mistakenly took yourself to be bound and you were getting into all the samsara business. If you are right in the beginning, understood that you are not bound, there would have been no problem at all. But that is the problem. You don't understand that you are not bound. You understand that you are bound, I am limited, I am bound. In fact, there's a very beautiful story. I don't know whether you must have heard that, That story, there was a Swamiji. He had a cow. And he had one boy who was working for him. Sorry? Anybody said anything? So he had a small boy who was working, who used to take the cow to graze, in the fields, bring it back, tie it back. They will have that one stick where the cow is be tied rather. So he will be, it will be there. So he will remove that rope and go and come back, and he will tie the cow. Every day he used to do it. One fine day, what happened was, he has actually removed that rope. Normally, when he takes it for grazing, that rope will not be there. He will remove the rope and then put it there and then take it for grazing. When he came back, that rope was missing. He didn't know what to do. So he couldn't tie that cow because there was no rope. So he went and told the Guru, "Oh, sir, this rope somebody has stolen. Now I don't know what to do. Because if we leave the cow like this, it will go away." So Guru said, "No, it won't go away. Don't worry." "No, how it will not go away? Because it is not tied." He said, "You do one thing. You take the cow near that, that anvil, and do an action as if you are tying the rope, and then leave it." So the boy did that, and the cow, as usual, sat down there. Then the boy went. Next day morning, he came and he took the cow. The cow will not move from that place. It will not, even get up from that place. Then he again went to the Guru. He said, no, this cow is not getting up. I don't know what is wrong with it. So he said, nothing wrong. There's something wrong with you. Yesterday you tied it, now you untie it. But I never tied it. That you know, but the cow doesn't know. Cow thinks that you have tied it. So now you do like this, reverse you do, it will get up. So the boy went there and reverse he did. And the cow got up and went with him for grazing. So this example is given in the by Acharyas. We all think that we are all tied to this samsara. Actually, we are not tied at all. Vedanta is all about realizing that I am never tied. I have never been tied. That is what is Vedanta, and Advaita Vedanta is all about. So all this samsara, all this is all mithya. This three shariras, panchakoshas, all are, we have superimposed upon our Atma, not our Atma, on the Atma as the self, and then we are getting into all these things. So Vedanta is
Thank
getting away cognitively from these things.
Thank you,
Hari Om.
Guruji.
Any other question? Okay, then shall we close the session? There are no more questions. Okay. Okay, Hari Om. Thank you very much, all of you.
Hari Om, Dhanyavadah.
Hari Om. Thank you.